Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. All right, folks, walk through the virtual hallways to join us in our discovery room. I want to just take a moment and thank you all for joining us this afternoon for our What Are We Doing About Energy Poverty discussion. I'd like to first acknowledge that I'm joining you all today from the ancestral territories of the Anishinaabe and the Huron-Wendat people here in present-day Aurelia, Ontario. Aurelia, if you don't know, is nestled nicely in between Lake Simcoe and Lake Kutchiching. It's a beautiful place, so if you pass through on Highway 11, which most people say they pass through on Highway 11, please stop off and say hello. It's a great place to be. Given our conversation today around energy poverty, I wanted to kick us off with an invitation to you all to hopefully put in your calendars our Canada Home Energy Justice Conference, which will be taking place October 6th and 7th in Ottawa. It is a great gathering of energy poverty thinkers, advocates, organizers, program administrators, and we come together really for a couple of days of discussing the question that we're talking about today. So if this webinar interested you, chances are the conference will interest you too. Saba put the link there in the chat. So check it out. We'll be launching the full agenda later this month. So stay tuned for that. We do record these webinars and they are available on our YouTube channel. So in about a week's time, it takes us a few minutes just to make sure the transcripts and everything are all good and up to par, and then it will be up on our YouTube channel. So do check them out. Check out our past webinars as well, and do share them. So let's jump in because we've got a great conversation this afternoon. A big thank you to Megan and Carmelina who are joining us today. We're going to each give Megan and Carmelina a few minutes to do a presentation and talk to you all about the programs that they're working on to advance kind of action on energy poverty. As always, we'll have lots of time for discussion and questions in the webinar, and we do invite you to use the Q&A box to channel those questions. You guys are always an engaged and active audience. We love that. We want to see the conversation flowing in the chat. If you can channel your questions to the Q&A, it helps us identify them for the Q&A portion. But absolutely introduce yourselves, share, reflect in the chat. We love to see that conversation going throughout the webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to launch us right in, and we're going to start with Carmelina Soros, who is joining us from BC Hydro today. Carmelina, thank you so much, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. It's nice to virtually meet everybody. I can't see you, but I know you're out there. As Lindsay said, my name is Carmelina. I work at BC Hydro in energy management and innovation, and specifically in the product management area. And I oversee the hard to reach program sector, where we offer a diverse set of programs to target specific customer segments that are, as the title says, very hard to reach. Next, please. Thanks. So this is a graphic that shows all the different programs within my portfolio. So one that I won't talk about, but I will mention is I do oversee what we call the multi-unit residential building and the condo and apartment rebate program. It's within the sector, not from an energy poverty perspective, but because it is a very difficult and hard to reach segment of customers, given the challenges that we face with stratas and all the different regulations. So it's part of my portfolio, but it's one that I won't speak to today. And within that sector as well, we have a low income program. We have a social housing program. We have an Indigenous offer. We also have a program for non-integrated areas, which are customers that are off grid, not on the BC Hydro grid. And then we also have solar and battery specific offers for the hard to reach customer segment. Next, please. So I just wanted to give a broad view of our objectives, what we are trying to achieve within our area. Definitely our bread and butter is achieving energy targets. So, but beyond that, what really is driving us is that we want to have simplified and streamlined customer experiences. It's really important that we put out programs, product solutions that speak to our customers, address their needs, but it's really simple and easy for them to participate. And then the other thing that we're also working towards is really rethinking how we get our solutions into the market. So maybe it's not the traditional way of we've got a program, customer, you come to us, but seeing how can we partner with others to get the program out there, and we may not necessarily have to deliver it ourselves. So those are our areas of focus as we go into this new fiscal year. Next, please. One thing I do want to mention and give a shout out for, in addition to the BC Hydro programs that I'll quickly go through over the next few slides, we do, on behalf of the province, administer their Clean BC programs. So for those of you that know that the province of BC does have a suite of Clean BC programs that target fuel switching opportunities, and many of them are targeted for income qualified individuals. And so the programs that we deliver on behalf of the province, but that are integrated with our program, so it becomes a one stop solution for customers, is through our multi unit residential building program. There's a social housing program as well. There's the Indigenous program that the province partners with us on. And then also, we fund and support the province's Clean BC Energy Savings Program. So we're very integrated with the province as well. Next, please. Okay, so BC Hydro program. So we do have a very specific program for income qualified customers, which we call our Energy Conservation Assistance Program. So this is a direct install program. It's 100% fully funded for individuals that meet the income criteria. And then on the side, there's a graph there of income household. We use LICO 1.3 in terms of customer eligibility. We target a multitude of single family homes, multiplexes, row homes, and townhomes. We also do have a limitation on the house value, as you can see there. And then we do target individuals that own or rent. And if individuals rent, they do need to get landlord permission. So last July, we evolved this program and started to offer heat pumps. So now we've moved away more from the basic measures into more deeper savings. So our program offers the installation of heat pumps, insulation and weatherization measures. And then we also do a 2-year heat pump maintenance where every year for 2 years, we go back to make sure that the heat pump is operating as it was intended to. Next, please. Okay. So we also have a program that targets nonprofit organizations. So these are nonprofits like BC Housing Nonprofit Association that has a number of members that belong within the association and they work on their behalf. So we have a specific program, which we call Social Housing Energy Savings Program. And this as well is integrated with the province's social housing program. So it offers a multitude of different solutions that customers can take advantage of, from studying the opportunity to getting project implementation support, where we provide funding for the customer to have a project manager oversee the project. Because we realize that a lot of the barriers for this entire sector actually is time, resources, and obviously capital. And so those kind of opportunities really help to advance customers in participating. And then we also have rebates and incentives to upgrade equipment. And we've also made this very simple and straightforward for customers because we work with individuals within the housing associations that help their members go through the process. So at every turn, we really try to make the customer experience as easy to go through so that they can always return again. Next, please. Okay. Last year as well, you'll notice a theme in the last year or two, we've launched a lot of new programs. So last year, in partnership with the province of BC and actually Fortis BC, so it's a tri-party initiative, we launched our new Partners in Indigenous Energy Efficiency and Resilience program, which we effectively or affectionately call PEER. And so this program is, again, a one stop shop solution for Indigenous governing bodies where they can get their needs met, be it if it's for energy efficiency, if it's for fuel switching, or if it's for gas. And so the program is very comprehensive. It allows the customer to do home assessments, building assessments. They get upgrades for the install of heat pumps and other different measures. What's really successful with this program is that we have Indigenous relations leads, or what we affectionately call our coaches, and they work directly with Indigenous governing bodies and they help them through the whole process where it makes it really easy for the customer and the community to be engaged and to really understand what is their opportunity and where do they go from there. So the coaching team is really instrumental for this offer. So yes, so next please. Okay. 2 years ago, we launched our solar and battery program. And this program targets a number of different segments, residential customers, along with what we term income qualified and hard to reach customers. So we have a variety of rebates available from residential to business to multifamily, and then also targeting the hard to reach sector, social housing, indigenous, and customers in the non integrated area. This has been a really successful program. We had seen significant uptake as soon as we launched. And in July, we are actually revising some of the offers to what you see here. And we've actually, one of the themes that we've heard from feedback is it'd be better if it was like one solar and battery program versus all these different offers. So we consolidated everything and it's now one solar and battery program. And this was based on feedback from customers and the industry. And so in July, we're going to be relaunching it and making it available to customers in a more simplified manner. Next, please. Okay. So the last of the programs that I oversee is our non-integrated areas. And as I mentioned, these are customers that live off grid and are on diesel. And so obviously we want them to reduce their dependency on diesel. So we do have offers for them. The real beauty of this is that we partner with a lot of organizations that work with non integrated areas just because they're the feet on the street. They know the communities, they interact with them, and they really understand their needs. So, we do, for example, have a partnership with the Coastal First Nations Great Barrier Initiative, because that's one thing I should say. Many of the customers living on non integrated areas are Indigenous communities. So there's quite a large population. And so we work with Indigenous organizations in NIA that help us deliver our programs. So that is one initiative that we're really proud of partnering with, where they have coordinators and I think they're in 10 communities now in non integrated areas where they work with customers to help them on a variety of subjects, of course, including energy efficiency. So that's a great partnership. And then we also have other programs where we provide incentives for non Indigenous or non integrated areas, and be it from our business rebate program to our home reno rebate program. So we try to address the sector as much as possible. Next, please. Okay. So customers, what it's all about. So from my perspective, what I think is working really well is that our programs are really helping to improve energy efficiency and housing resilience within these communities and within these sectors. It's really advancing customers to understand their opportunities and at the end of the day, help them with bill savings. As I covered off very quickly, though, we do have a breadth of different programs and solutions available, be it if it's funding to do studies, if it's rebates to upgrade technologies, if it's funding for operations and maintenance, support to hire people to help customers through the process to manage projects. I feel like we do try and provide a breadth of solutions for customers. And as I said, we provide incentives for energy efficiency upgrades to really help address the cost barriers, which is very central with these different groups, more so than probably the able to pay customers, obviously. And as I mentioned throughout the different programs, we have introduced energy coaches or advisors with a lot of our programs because we've noted that customers really need the help to maneuver through the landscape because it can be quite complicated. Not only with our programs making it easier for them, but there's so many other funding sources out there. So what we try to do is try and help these customers coalesce everything. And so we've found that a notable difference with the introduction of these advisors, they're effectively like our salespeople, but that has been really important for us. Next, please. Okay, so what could be better? Of course, everything can be better, right? And as I said, one of our areas of focus is really simplifying and making it an easy customer journey. Things can get caught up, there's delays, things slip through the cracks, and that impedes the customer from proceeding with their projects, and they'll have an experience that isn't satisfying. So that is one of our core principles is that we really want to make it easy and really put ourselves in the customer's shoes. So I think we could do much better at that. The other thing that we notice as well is this whole concept around equity-based allocation of funds. Sometimes when you get a large organization, they probably have more bandwidth, more, say, resources, more time, and they can manipulate or monopolize a whole budget because they've got a number of buildings. They can all take it. Where what we're trying to figure out is how can we make it equitable across the board? So a smaller customer that has smaller buildings and maybe slower to come to participate actually has an opportunity. The other thing that I also mentioned when I was talking about rethinking how we get our solutions in the market is working with like minded parties to reach our customers. And that could be working with an NGO, a non government organization that has a lot of leverage and with certain segments of customers that they can reach much more effectively than we can. So I think there's a lot of opportunities around that. And then also ultimately for us, it's helping customers save energy and reduce their bills. And I think there's different ways and approaches we can do that to make it really easy, meaning like they don't necessarily have to go through the traditional program to get a rebate, but maybe there's rewards we can give them for reducing their energy by 2%, but making it really impactful and easy. So I think those are ways that we can evolve and try and gain that customer traction by, at the end of the day, still helping them. And I think that was it. Yes, that was it. Thanks everyone for the time. I really appreciate it. I hope I didn't go too quickly or was over time.
That was perfect, Carmelina. Thank you. And I think some exciting and interesting programs that you guys are rolling out. So congratulations to you. We're
Thank
going
you.
to roll right into our next presentation. I see some questions starting to come through. So just a reminder, if you've got questions for Carmelina or for Megan as she proceeds through her presentation, please add those in the Q&A. And we should have lots of time to get to those before we wrap up this afternoon. So without further ado, we're thrilled to have Megan Bennett here from Summerhill to share, again, some of the great programs that they've been involved in across the country around energy poverty programming. So Megan, over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Thanks for having me. Great to see so many people here. My name is Megan Bennett. I'm the Vice President of Program Operations at Summerhill, and where I lead a team nationally delivering energy efficiency programs across Canada. I'm calling in from my home in Thornbury, Ontario on Treaty 18 in the traditional territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, maybe an hour and a half west of where Lindsay is. Beautiful day here. I've been in the sector for over 15 years and truly honored to be here with the Discover EE community today to talk about something I care deeply about, which is collaborative solutions and the system change required for a just and equitable clean energy transition. Moving on to the next slide. Here's the frame I want to set today. Nearly 2 million Canadian households experience energy poverty, which means they are spending more than 6% of their after-tax income on home energy. And when you use a more conservative 10% threshold, the 2021 census still found 822,000 households, over 5% nationally, that qualify as energy poor, with the Atlantic provinces ranging from 10 to 13%. And a 2025 Fraser Institute report found that more than 20% of Canadian households earning under $55,000 are energy poor by that same 10% measure. So these numbers are significant. And here's what I want you to take away from this talk. Policy direction is moving the right way. The Canada Greener Homes Affordability Program, ISO, and Enbridge expanding the Save on Energy programs, provincial partnerships. But from a program delivery perspective, I think the question still remains, are we actually reaching and serving the people who need the help most? And are we doing it in ways that work for them? Next slide, please. So let's start by looking at where energy poverty is most concentrated. Efficiency Canada's has a great map, energy poverty map, which I encourage everyone to explore. It gives us a powerful visual. But here you can see the picture is clear across Canada. Atlantic Canada carries the heaviest burden. Again, using this 2021 census data, 10% threshold, PEI is at 13.7%, New Brunswick 12.3%, Nova Scotia 10.7%. These are the highest rates in the country. And when you shift to the cusp 6% threshold, PEI jumps to over 40% of households, which is really like an extraordinary figure for a province with cold winters and aging housing stock. The North is another critical zone. The Yukon is at 11%, Northwest Territories at 9.5%. But energy poverty isn't just a rural or northern issue. Calgary's own energy equity strategy found that 60,000 households, 14% of the city, experience energy inequity and spending more than 9% of their after-tax income on home energy. So who are the people behind these numbers? Efficiency Canada highlights that seniors, renters, newcomers, single-parent families are all disproportionately affected. And there's a critical health dimension that perhaps doesn't get enough attention. I also wanted to bring your attention to a 2023 study from McGill that found that the odds of reporting poor general health are 48% higher and poor mental health, 21% higher for adults in households facing energy poverty. So this is a public health issue. And as climate extremes intensify, it becomes a climate resilience issue too. Next slide, please. So where are the gaps? Let me walk you through 5 that we consistently see in our delivery work across the country. Some of these overlap, obviously, with what Carmelina was explaining as well. First, the moderate income gap. So many of the households struggling most with energy costs fall just above this eligibility threshold for low-income programs. They don't qualify for free retrofits, but they also can't afford those upfront costs in market rate programs. Ontario's Affordability Fund Trust, AFT, which Summerhill supported the delivery of from 2017 to 2021 in the heat of COVID, was specifically designed for this missing middle. So the AFT final report found that province-wide, the program had the highest number of annual participants in any comparable income-qualified program reviewed, 30,000 beneficiaries per year. But when the program ended, the gap reopened. And there's currently no equivalent national program for moderate income households, though the current ISO Enbridge RFP that's out currently does signal potential expansion to moderate income participants in Ontario, which is encouraging. Second, I wanted to bring up the renter exclusion. Efficiency Canada is right to flag this in their work. The private market renters are still largely excluded from energy efficiency programs across the country. Renters don't control the building envelope usually. They face fear of rent evictions or rent increases, and landlords have little incentive to invest when the energy cost savings accrue to the tenant. CGAP's inclusion of tenants is a positive step, but I think the practical delivery mechanisms for renters are still being figured out. Third, remote and Indigenous community access. Northern Indigenous communities face unique compounding barriers, limited contractor pools, high logistic costs, housing conditions that often require health and safety remediation, let alone navigating intergenerational trauma caused by residential schools. So we see this firsthand in our delivery of the First Nations community building retrofit program for the IESO in Ontario. And we were learning that this work requires long-term relationship building and really flexible delivery models. Fourth, energy limiting behavior. So this is one that traditional metrics miss entirely. Most energy poverty measurement is based on energy burden, what percentage of income you spend on energy. But that misses households that are already under consuming energy to afford other necessities. And there's some really interesting research from People's Energy Analytics out of the US, and they highlight a more holistic definition of energy poverty that needs to, and they're promoting a more holistic definition to include people who limit their energy consumption and display what they call energy limiting behavior when folks are keeping homes at unsafe temperatures, foregoing heating, for example, to pay for food or medication. So we're not even seeing that in the data. Finally, program complexity and navigation. Even where good programs exist, they can be incredibly difficult to access. So I think we all know this, multiple programs with different eligibility criteria, different application processes, funding. Our work delivering Clean BC energy coaching showed us that homeowners struggle to get started, and this navigation and support is really necessary. So a single window, one-stop approach is super critical. Okay, what's working? Now let me shift from the gaps to the solutions, concrete examples from Summerhill's work of what works and what we've learned. So, yeah. Starting out on the East Coast, Prince Edward Island, as I mentioned, has one of the highest energy poverty rates in Canada. We deliver an end-to-end direct install service for Efficiency PEI's winter warming program, which serves income-qualified households province-wide, providing free air sealing, energy efficiency upgrades, programmable thermostats, low-flow shower heads, LED lighting, and a heating system tune-up voucher at no cost to participants. And across 3 years of delivery from 2023 through to 2026, we've completed over 3,300 installation visits, deployed over 80,000 energy-saving measures. But the numbers that I think matter most are the satisfaction numbers. So our 2024-2025 survey shows 97% completely satisfied ratings for technicians' courtesy and professionalism. And our recommendation rate is extremely strong. Over 99% of participants would recommend the program to a friend or neighbor. So what makes this work? We think two things. First, local hiring. Our PEI installers are islanders. They know the communities. They know the housing stock. They know the challenges families are facing. That builds trust, especially with low-income households. And second, participant education. Every visit includes what we now are calling an Efficiency Matters conversation. And it's not a sales pitch, but it's a genuine discussion about how measures work, what other programs are available, behaviors can help save energy. It's empowering and extends the program's impact well beyond the visit itself. So we're learning that empathetic, respectful in-home engagement and local hiring are as important as the measures themselves. Next slide, please. The First Nations Community Building Retrofit Program is one of the programs I'm most proud to be part of. It's an IESO Save on Energy program in Ontario that provides up to $330,000 in funding and technical support to on-reserve grid-connected First Nations communities. And this goes towards retrofitting band-owned commercial and institutional buildings, things like band offices, community centers, rec facilities. We're now serving over 60 participating communities and have delivered $6.7 million worth of energy efficiency upgrades. And what makes First Nations Community Building Retrofit Program distinctive, I think, is its governance model. Communities can choose between two tracks. There's a direct install track where Summerhill handles the entire process turnkey, or community install track where the community contracts its own work with our support. And this isn't just a nice option, but it's a fundamental design principle. autonomy, self-determination are critical for First Nations communities, and the community install design supports this. We've also evolved the program significantly to meet community needs. So retrofit funding increased from $100,000 to $330,000 per community. Energy assessments expanded from, we were able to do 4, and now we're doing 15 facilities in each community. And we took some lessons on the approval process. It was streamlined in direct response to community feedback about confusion caused by multiple approval steps. And the testimonials are powerful. Michicheng First Nation recently shared that the upgrades at their band office went smoothly with minimal disruption, and they're already seeing improvements in lighting quality and energy efficiency. So our lesson here is trust building, community-led design, flexible governance, capacity building are essential. Programs designed with Indigenous partners, not just for them, produce better outcomes and stronger relationships. Next slide, please. I mentioned the Affordability Fund Trust program earlier. When we were delivering AFT, we proposed and then delivered a collaborative pilot, also with the gas utility Enbridge. And this stacked gas program savings with electrical savings, and we were able to double the number of participants receiving insulation upgrades in the Peterborough service area because of this. The AFT also demonstrated something important about who is actually struggling with energy poverty. An LDC survey respondent put it perfectly. We often assume that if a person makes a certain amount of income, they're okay, but this program illustrated that many moderate income households are struggling. And that's the missing middle. The AFT's energy affordability burden analysis confirmed it, and the program successfully funneled participants with higher energy burdens into deeper levels of program support. It was a really interesting design. So the lesson here was program designers should build in stacking mechanisms, cross-referral pathways from the start. And we need to also stop assuming that income alone tells us who's struggling. Okay, next slide. So where do we go from here? I want to leave you with 3 fundamental shifts, I think, and believe our sector needs to make if we're going to close the energy poverty gap in Canada. The first is from programs to systems. So right now, energy poverty programming is fragmented in many cases. In Ontario, households may be eligible for multiple programs. Here's the acronyms: EAP, HWP, CGAP, OHPA, CIP, OESP. But each, of course, has different eligibility criteria, application processes, and administrators. And it makes it difficult to navigate. The AFT final report put it plainly: future programs need to improve the ease of navigation of the affordability landscape for those that need help, perhaps through a single window model that supports positive beneficiary experience. So we need to stop designing individual programs and start designing systems, integrated delivery models where a single intake connects a household to every resource they qualify for. Shift number 2 is maybe thinking about moving from energy savings to household well-being. Our sector does a great job of measuring successfully kilowatt hours saved and tons of GHGs reduced, important metrics, but they're insufficient for energy poverty programs. The AFTs concluded energy affordability is just one component of household affordability, which includes health, housing, food security, and more. In our PEI winter warming delivery, we track participant satisfaction and comfort improvements, because if someone tells us they feel warmer and safer and less anxious about their bills, that's a program outcome that really matters. And we need to expand our metrics to match the full scope of the impact these programs can have. And finally, from designing for communities to designing with them, communities know their own needs better than any program administrator. The same principle applies for newcomer communities, tenant populations, rural and northern households. So these 3 shifts, from programs to systems, from energy saving to well-being, from designing for to designing with, are the difference between, I think, incremental improvements and real transformational change. And I think our sector is ready for it. So I'll just close with this. This next slide is energy poverty is solvable. It's not a problem of technology or policy alone, but whether our systems are designed to reach the people who need them most. And are we willing to design the programs that meet people where they are, not just where it's easiest to deliver? So Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks so much, Megan. That was fantastic. Thank you for that overview, the reflection on the gaps, and I think also the opportunities that exist to fill some of those gaps was very much appreciative. Okay, we've got some questions coming through. I know we've got about just less than 10 minutes. There's been some discussion on them. I'm going to jump right in. I have some questions myself, but I'm going to jump right in to some of those. And thank you, Carmelina. I see you busy answering some of them also, which is great. So I'm going to start with Roger's question around renters, tenants, leaseholders. And I'm going to read his question. Leaseholders are terribly disadvantaged due to the owner often does what they want and tenants end up paying. So $35,000 over 18 months for windows and doors. And so he's wondering how we might accelerate program qualification as their building is starting to do some of these renovations in the next few months. And I think also identifying that this is often seniors, pensioners. And maybe if I can broaden this, because I think that when we're talking about tenants that often, not always, but often don't pay utilities directly, but they do indirectly because those costs certainly influence their rent. And so what are those opportunities for renters and tenants to access programs? And what are opportunities that they can have to get in on these programs? Either of you, anyone of you want to jump in first?
So I was going to say our programs are available to tenants. So they are eligible. They do need to get landlord consent though. And we have found in many situations, once the landlord understands the opportunity, they're more open to it. But our programs are definitely available for renters. I think education comes into play as well for the landlord to understand the benefits and all that. But yeah, it can be a difficult opportunity for landlords and tenants, but we definitely have them. Our programs are definitely available for them, for sure.
Thanks, Carmen. Megan,
Megan, you
is there?
anything to
Yeah,
add?
I think it's, yeah, looking at they are available. How do we operationalize this?
Yeah.
How do we make it make sense? Yeah. Rethinking maybe how it's getting delivered. I think, yeah, having it available is absolutely important. But I think the devil is going to be in the details on this one in terms of how does this get operationalized? How do we make it super simple for signatures and tools to be shared with
Yeah.
your landlord?
Yeah.
The paperwork alone is,
Totally.
be
Totally.
super
And
simple.
that's a great point because with our programs, what we've done is we've just done a very simple form where we said just have your landlord sign it or even electronically tick off the box
Yeah.
so that there isn't that exchange of paper. So
Yeah.
like I totally agree with Megan, like making it really straightforward. Yeah, we had a situation when we were delivering the free air conditioning unit for on behalf of the province. We adapted the program to address the needs of the landlord so that they would allow their tenants to receive the AC. So that's where we had to shift our mindset because they were going to be a roadblock for seniors receiving the AC. So I totally agree with Megan. But anyways,
thanks. Thank you both. I feel like we could do a whole webinar on that specific question
totally.
and exploring opportunities there. I'm going to jump into another one that we could do a whole webinar around, which is the rise of AI data center proposals across the country and the cost of those centers potentially being offset to residents in the area. And so are we expecting issues of energy poverty to increase as those demands on supply come exponentially across the country? I don't know, Megan, maybe we can start with you if you're willing to jump in on that. Do you have any thoughts?
Ooh, that's, yeah, such a heavy and active question on my heart right now too. Yeah, I think, yeah, these are the questions we need to be asking. I think definitely another webinar on the topic. I think regulators, and it's going to be really important that these voices are being heard and the discussions around how all of this is going to be resourced. Yeah, I don't know what else to add at this
I don't
point,
know.
except, yeah.
Maybe I'll point Brendan Haley. Hi, Brendan. Nice to see your name in the chat there. Added a great link to a program out of Minnesota, which is really driving fees from data centers and just
Oh, cool.
supporting low income programs. So
Oh,
I think a
cool.
great model that can be used. And I know a lot of us have been floating around the idea of how data centers could really be tied to demand flexibility programs as well, and really try and
Mm.
harness those programs to support energy demands. Okay, we only have 2 more minutes. So I'm going to keep us rolling. Jamie Brandt has a question here. I'm going to jump to, oh, I just lost it. There we go. When designing programs to help with energy poverty and looking for funding, do you search for leverage around those co-benefits, those health and safety avenues? Example, avoided medical costs due to less stress and more comfortable homes. And how do you even start to measure some of those
Mhm.
co-benefits for reporting?
Yeah, great question. I think that is the non-energy benefits are definitely a component for utilities when they're looking at cost effectiveness and exceptions to those some of those rules when designing programs. So there are different methodologies, but yeah, I know I'm flashing back to last year's Home Energy Justice Conference and some great discussions around this in terms of non-energy benefits and how to exactly like how to measure, which ones are you identifying?
Yeah.
Carmelina, do you have anything you can add?
I was going to say we currently don't quantify those because they are difficult to quantify. We're very aware of them, but when we're doing our cost effectiveness, it's an added layer. It's
Yeah.
the cherry on the top. It's not what drives our cost effectiveness, but we're totally aware of non-energy benefits that brings. It is about how do you quantify them because it can be difficult, right?
Yeah.
And
Or
thank
it
you,
is difficult.
Stephanie. Yeah, thanks. Stephanie just posted a link from New Zealand of a program where they're starting to quantify and include those non-energy benefits of programs. Okay, we're at time, but I'm going to leave us on Rajiv's last question because I think it's a great one to end on, which are what are some of your anticipated learnings over the coming year and from ongoing program delivery and implementation, and maybe where you think our programs need to go? Because we all know they're not enough, right? As great as they are and as important as they are, we also know they're not enough. And so maybe I'll just add, what are your learnings and where are you hoping to see kind of program development go? And Megan, let's start with you, and then Carmelina, we'll wrap up with you, and then we'll say.
Yeah, I think I'll just reinforce those shifts that I'm looking for. Those are the programs to systems, really thinking about one window approaches, like actual one window approaches that are working well. I think we have learnings and work to do there. The well-being, the non-energy benefits piece, and continuing to work for designing programs with communities. I think those are my
Yeah.
takeaways.
Yeah. I think Megan is bang on those. We're striving to deliver that one-stop solution that I was mentioning, just to make it easier for people. I think the other thing is leveraging these external third parties that can help us deliver our programs that necessarily we don't have to do ourselves. So looking at different ways of getting out there versus just the typical utility rebate going out. Are there others that can deliver our programs on our behalf so we can have a wider reach? I think that's really important as well. And it's just constant, I think, continuous improvement. We can't be complacent, right? That's the worst thing you can do. So it's trying to adapt to the market conditions that are present at the moment.
Great. Thank you both. Again, I know 45 minutes is never enough, but hopefully we got everyone thinking about some great programs that are out there in the landscape. What are the opportunities to scale them? I may just end with a couple of plugs on our end. Again, I mentioned at the outset of the webinar, hope that we'll see many of you who are joining us this afternoon at the Canada Home Energy Justice Conference, October 6th and 7th in Ottawa. It really is our opportunity to come together face to face and have these discussions over a couple of days with our colleagues and partners in the space. Efficiency Canada has really been advancing this notion of energy efficiency as a nation building project. And we really believe that by doubling energy productivity, energy efficiency measures, and ending energy poverty in our communities, that's how we'll go about achieving the true benefits across every community in the country. And we hope that you'll join us in those pursuits as well. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Thank you. Special thank you, Megan, Carmelina, for taking time, sharing your programs and thoughts on this important topic. And Roger, how can we support the nation building concept? Check out our petition. If you go to our website, you'll see that we have a petition in front of the House of Commons for another month right now. We have already hit the threshold for that petition to get a formal response from the government, but we want to see the numbers keep going to really signal that support. So if you go to our website, efficiencycanada.org, you'll be able to find the links for supporting that initiative as well. So again, thank you all. Thank you,
Thanks,
Megan.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
Marina. Have a great
Thank you. Have a great day.
Carrie.
Bye.
Thanks
Take
to you
care.
all for joining us this afternoon. Take care.